All set?
Yes.
Good evening. At this time, I'd like to call our regularly scheduled village board meeting to order. Let the record reflect that it's Tuesday, September 3rd, 2019, and the village clock has it at 7:44 PM. I apologize for the delay. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Trustee Berg.
Here.
Trustee Brady.
Here.
Trustee Brennan.
Here.
Trustee Galante.
Here.
Trustee Glatz.
Present.
Trustee Mueller.
Here.
President Vandenberg.
Here, thank you. Item number 1, at this time, I'd ask for a motion to consider approval of the agenda. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Properly
Second.
moved by trustee Brennan, seconded by trustee Berg. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion will carry. Thank you. Item number 2, at this time, I'd ask for a motion to consider approval of the minutes of the regular village board meeting that was held on August 20, 2019. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Properly moved by trustee Mueller,
Second.
seconded by trustee Brady. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Thank you. Item number 3. At this time, I would entertain a consideration for proclaiming September of 2019 Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month in the Village of Tinley Park. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Properly
Second.
moved and seconded. Thank you. Again, this is to consider September of 2019 to be Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. And if I could, I'd like to go ahead and read the proclamation into the record, please. Recognizing September 2019 as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month in the Village of Tinley Park. Whereas ovarian cancer is the deadliest of all gynecological cancers and the 5th leading cause of cancer deaths among women in the United States. And whereas approximately 22,000 women, our mothers, sisters, daughters, family members, and community leaders will be diagnosed with ovarian cancer this year, and 15,500 of them will die from the disease. And whereas the mortality rate for ovarian cancer has not significantly decreased since the war on cancer was declared more than 40 years ago. And whereas in June of 2007, the first national consensus statement on ovarian cancer symptoms was developed to provide consistency in describing symptoms to make it easier for women and healthcare providers to learn and remember said symptoms, which can lead to a quicker diagnosis. And whereas each year during the month of September, the Ovarian Cancer National Alliance and its partner members hold a number of events to increase public awareness of ovarian cancer. And now therefore it be resolved by the President and the Board of Trustees of the Village of Tinley Park, Cook and Will Counties, Illinois, that the month of September of 2019 be proclaimed as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month in the Village of Tinley Park to increase public awareness and stand in solidarity with those affected by ovarian cancer. This has been approved and signed today, the 3rd day of September 2019, signed by myself and our clerk, Kristen Thurian. Is there a representative from ovarian cancer here? Ma'am, would you like to step forward? Is there anything else you'd like to add to the record? And then I'll go ahead and present this proclamation. Just a voice vote on that.
I'd just like to thank the Village of Tinley. You've always been very helpful and cooperative in allowing us to tie teal ribbons to promote awareness, and also allowing us to participate in your health fairs and community awareness fairs. So thank you for your help and support. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion and proclamation has been properly voted on. Thank you. Item 4, Clerk Thurian.
I'd like to make a motion to consider proclaiming September 16th, 2019 American Legion Day in the Village of Tinley Park.
Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Thank you.
I'm now going to read the Tinley Park Proclamation recognizing Monday, September 16th, 2019 as the American Legion Day in the Village of Tinley Park. Whereas the American Legion was chartered by Congress in 1919 on September 16th as a wartime veterans organization based on the 4 pillars of Veterans Affairs and Rehabilitation, National Security, Americanism, and Children and Youth. And whereas, over the years, the American Legion has become a preeminent community service organization which now numbers more than 2.5 million men and women in over 14,000 American Legion posts worldwide. And whereas, these worldwide posts provide a variety of programs that support the 4 pillars and benefit our nation's veterans, its service members, the youth of America, and its citizens. And whereas, the members of the American Legion are dedicated to upholding the ideals of freedom and democracy while working to make a difference in the lives of fellow Americans. And whereas observance of American Legion Day and its 100th anniversary provides an opportunity to recognize Legionnaires in our community for their many contributions to our community, the state of Illinois, and the country. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the President and Board of Trustees of the Village of Tinley Park, Cook, and Will Counties, Illinois, that Monday, September 16th, 2019 be proclaimed as the American Legion Day in the Village of Tinley Park. Approved this 3rd day of September 2019 and signed by Jacob C. Vandenberg, Village President, and myself.
Very good. Is a member of the Legion here? Sir, would you like to step forward? Do the presentation. You can do the presentation.
Okay.
Just want to thank you for the proclamation. It is our 100th anniversary. We were actually formed in March 15th. Took Congress a little while to get things done. Nothing new there. I think people understand that. It's been 100 years,
Wow.
and we're quite pleased, and thank you again for the proclamation.
Welcome. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
Clerk, you want to give that presentation to him?
Yes, former Commander Porter, would you like to come forward and present this to you?
Anyways, listening, thank you for giving me such an attractive lady. Mayor, I'm a resident of Orland, so it doesn't
All right, we got you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Did you plan that?
No, not at all.
Item number 5, Trustee Brady.
Yes, I'd like to have at least consider adopting Resolution 2019 R091, recognizing Eagle Scout John Yucca upon attaining all 139 Boy Scout merit badges.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you.
Thank you. The Village of Tinley Park would like to recognize Eagle Scout John Yucca for fulfilling the requirements to earn all 139 scouting merit badges. This tremendous accomplishment has only been achieved by less than 400 Boy Scouts since the inception of scouting in 1910.
That's all you got? That uniform?
No, sir.
I figured you'd have a lot more.
I do, sir. Thank you for recognizing that fact. Before presenting John with this, John, would you stand up, please, first of all? Okay, he deserves a nice round of applause. Before giving you this resolution, for those of you who don't know, first of all, there's 365 requirements to become an Eagle Scout. That's number one, okay? Number two, back when they first started out, there was only 80 merit badges. And when my son became an Eagle, there was only 125. So they kept adding. You missed chicken raising, egg collecting, you missed piglet raising, and so on and so forth. But they've added composition, they've added engineering for space, cartoons, animation, and so on and so forth. So John is quite the accomplishment. And considering there are there's 2.5 million Eagle Scouts and only 400 have received all the merit badges. Okay? And yes, absolutely. So there's a lot more requirements besides the 365 that he had to do in order to accomplish this. And I'm on the Eagle Board of Review, okay, for many, many scouts. And one of my questions that I ask them is that, how many merit badges do you have? And they'll turn around and say, well, 21. Well, I scare them because 21 is the minimum. And I turn to them, I says, do you think an Eagle Scout should only do the minimum? And they get nervous because they know I could throw their Eagle application out the window. But they promised me that they will continue on and get more than just the bare minimum. So obviously, John, you've done above and beyond the bare minimum. And sometimes I worry about scouts that have all the merit badges. And the reason being that I think you're just focused on that you don't do anything else in your life. But when I read about you, what other organizations do you do?
I've done, in high school I did 4 years of theater. For all 4 years I've donated my hair to St. Baldrick's. I have been in choir all 4 years. I've done the robotics club, the speech team, German club, German National Honor Society, and National Honor Society.
How about that? And 139 merit badges. So that's just a great accomplishment. And in the article in the newspaper that was last week, where it talks about him getting all of the merit badges, a beautiful article, some good news about what our youth does. It mentions about there, and something I always mention to people at Eagle ceremonies, is that you can't get it done without your parents helping you. And the article talks way about your mother promising to go camping with you and all the other things. And Abe Lincoln once said, all that you are and all that you hope to be, you owe to your mother and father. Don't you ever forget that. Okay? Now we'll read the proclamation for you before the mayor gets the hook.
Do you need your glasses? What was the minimum when you went through your scouting? Can you tell your age by the telling that?
21.
Or?
So, okay. Recognizing Eagles of John Yucca upon obtaining all 139 Scout merit badges. Whereas John has fulfilled the requirements of earning all 139 merit badges, which not only taught him life skills, but also helped him develop character and values. And whereas the Village of Tinley Park recognizes Eagle Scout John Yucca for his tremendous accomplishments, which has only been accomplished by 400 Boy Scouts since the beginning of scouting in 1910. John's unyielding dedication and passion to the Boy Scouts of America and his citizenship to the community has been a positive impact on the community. Therefore, be it resolved by the President, Board of Trustees in the Village of Tinley Park, Illinois, Cook and Will counties, on behalf of its citizens, herein represent that John be recognized for his accomplishments upon attaining all 139 scouting merit badges. We wish the Eagle Scout John the best of all his future endeavors. Adopted this day, signed by the mayor, our village clerk, and all of the trustees. Come on up here and get this.
Wow, that is amazing.
Stay right there, ladies. Where are the rest of his scouts? Come up here and see this example. Come on up here. From Troop 380. Yeah, you too. How many merit badges do you have? Should I know that all the time? How about you? 40. Very good. You just sing a lot. Good to see you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
That's honored.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I'm done, Mr. Mayor.
All right. You're welcome. Thank you. Item 6, Trustee Glatz.
Vote on
Oh, I'm sorry. Dead requirement. required a vote, and I totally dropped the ball. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's official. Sorry about that. Trustee Glatz.
I'd like to make a motion to
Nice job.
consider the appointment of Matthew Labriola to the position of Public Works Maintenance Technician.
Is there a second?
Second?
Thanks, Cindy. Matthew Labriola has worked as part-time seasonal 2 in Public Works since October of 2018. He received his GED from Victor J. Andrew High School and shortly thereafter enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps, then deployed to Kaneohe Bay, Hawaii, where he was responsible for ensuring the safety and supervision of heavy equipment operation. Matt is a resident of Tinley Park and is excited for this opportunity to serve the village. Consider the appointment of Matthew to the position of Public Works Maintenance Technician effective September 4th, 2019.
Thank you, Trustee Glatz. Any comments from the board? There's none. Please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion carries. Is Matt here? Okay. Item 7, at this time, I'd ask for a motion to consider the following commission appointments for the fiscal year 2020. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Thank you. Before you are some continuation of the commissions that we appointed last board meeting. There's a couple of new faces in here, and I think there's some that are in the audience. We got Carol, Karen, John. So Karen is for Veterans Commission, right? Carol's for Marketing and Branding, and then John Hudak is for Environmental. So it's great. Thank you for your volunteerism. Thank you for. Thank you. I'm sorry. I was recognizing the newer faces, I suppose, right? And I think you've been around for a while as an associate, haven't you? Were you part of the associates there? No? My apologies, sir. Well, thank you for your volunteerism as well. Absolutely.
Mr. Mayor, we have a change on one of them. I was just handed it.
Okay.
One here. On the senior services, Gordon Collins was listed as a member. He will not be on here. And they wanted to add Joanne Manny. Right, Mike? Joan.
Does anybody from the board have a problem with that? We don't hypothetically have.
We can't.
Yeah, no, I can't add that. So we could do that for the next meeting, though.
Okay.
So if you could submit their letter of interest to Dominic, Mike, and then we'll get it to the board and get her appointed. But we can amend the current item to remove Gordon Collins. We could do that. Does anybody have a problem with that?
No, it's fine.
Okay, great. So, any other comments or questions regarding item 7? Very good. It's been moved and promptly seconded. This will be an amended item 7 to remove Gordon Collins. We'll call a roll on this, please.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
That motion will carry. So thank you again to all the volunteers. Item number 8, again, I would ask for a motion to consider a recommendation for clarifying the terms of appointment for the Civil Service Commission.
So moved?
It's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any questions regarding this? Legal has suggested that according to the laws of the land and the village codes, that the commissioners that sit on our Civil Service Commission must be staggered. So it's been recommended that we stagger them just 1, 2, 3, and that will continue on as the appointments continue through the civil service. Are any questions regarding that? We'll call a roll on that, please.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Item 8 will carry. Thank you very much. Item 9. At this time, I'd ask for a motion to consider approval of the following consent agenda items. Only 2 this evening. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Properly moved and seconded. Thank you. Clerk, can you read those into the record, please?
Item A, consider a request for a block party permit on Saturday, September 21st, 2019, in the 8100 block of Killarney Court from 2 p.m. to 10 o'clock p.m. And item B, consider payment of outstanding bills in the amount of $1,855,207.80 as listed on the vendor board approval reports dated August 23rd and August 30th, 2019.
Does any board member care to remove any of those items? Let the record reflect there is none. Please call the roll.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion will carry. Thank you. Item,
I have a question on A. We changed the date to October 12th. We had a block party.
We just got that this afternoon.
we can handle it in this.
It'll be on the next
Okay.
agenda. Yeah, we just got that this
I
afternoon.
wasn't here.
oh, there was an amendment to it?
Yeah, there was a notice.
Noticed it.
So they'll be on the following consent agenda as well?
On the 17th.
It will be handled. It'll be taken care of. Thank you. Item 10, Trustee Mueller.
I move we consider adopting ordinance 2019-0-048, granting text amendments to sections 2.b, 5.b, Schedule 1, 8.a.10, and 12, Section 3, Table 3.a.2 of the Village of Tinley Park zoning ordinance to regulate banquet facilities as a special use, permitted use, or prohibited use. That's a tough one.
Second.
Thank you.
The Tinley Park zoning ordinance currently regulates banquet facilities as a permitted use in the office and restricted industrial and general manufacturing zoning districts. It is not identified as a permitted or special use in any other district. In addition, there is no definition provided for banquet facilities. The proposed text amendments will allow banquet facilities as a special use in the B1, B2, B3, and B4 districts, and a permitted use in the B3 district with limitations related to the size of the facility. It will be a prohibited use in the B5 and all legacy districts. In addition, a proposed definition will be added to the zoning ordinance to assist in distinguishing the use from other similar uses in the code and specify parking requirements related to banquet facilities as a means to mitigate any potential impact on surrounding land uses. The Plan Commission held a public hearing on August 1st, 2019, and unanimously recommended the proposed text amendments for approval to the Village Board. At the first reading of the draft ordinance, the Board recommended revising the parking requirement for banquet facilities in the B1 district. The ordinance has been amended to reflect the requirement of 1.5 parking spaces per required 100 square feet of usable floor area. The ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Trustee Mueller. Does any board member care to comment regarding this ordinance? Nope. We will call a roll call.
Trustee Burke.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz. Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 11, Trustee Mueller.
I move we consider adopting ordinance 2019-0-047, approving text amendments to section 5.c.9.e of the zoning ordinance to incorporate lighting regulations for multifamily, commercial, and industrial zoning districts.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Staff has proposed a draft text amendment to the performance standards that regulate glare for multifamily, commercial, and industrial districts. Proposed changes to the zoning ordinance regulating glare include additional definitions related to lighting, establishing minimum and maximum parking lot pole heights, and the creation of acceptable average light levels based on the type of use. Car dealerships will have their own unique level of lighting based on the nature of their operations, with the display of vehicles and security concerns. The ordinance also addresses non-conforming properties that do not meet the new regulations. Moving forward, staff believes it makes sense to provide additional guidelines for regulating exterior lighting to promote attractive new development and aid developers in preparing their plans for review by the village. The Community Development Committee directed staff at the May 28, 2019 meeting to draft regulations to amend the zoning code. The draft regulations were discussed and reviewed by the Plan Commission at a public hearing on June 21st, and the commission voted 4-0 to recommend approval for these text amendments. This ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you. Does anybody from the board care to comment or have a question? I guess I have a follow-up question. Can you clarify what non-conforming properties would mean?
Yes. Anytime we make text amendments, we acknowledge there might be properties that aren't meeting that current code. So we acknowledge them and we allow them to continue. And then only when they make certain amount of modifications do they have to bring up the property to compliance. So with the parking lot lights, we recognize that, if someone wants to change, only 10% of their parking lot lights, we wouldn't make them bring the whole parking lot into compliance. So we had to create a threshold to be more, acceptable to the businesses too, and make it cost effective.
Okay. And who's policing the non-conforming?
So anytime they have to modify their lights, they have to submit a building permit, and they'll submit a photometric plan, and we would review
So that's
that.
when it happens?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification. This will be a roll call. Please call the roll.
Trustee Burke.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 12, Trustee Mueller.
I move we consider ordinance 2019-0-049, approving text amendments to Section 2.b and Section 5.b of the Tinley Park zoning ordinance to allow a Racino entertainment complex in the office and restricted industrial district as a permitted use.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you.
Staff is proposing a text amendment to the Tinley Park zoning ordinance, Section 2.b and Section 5.b for Racino Entertainment Complex. The purpose of this amendment is to add definitions and to modify the schedule of use regulations to permit a Racino Entertainment Complex in the office and in restricted industrial district as a permitted use. The Plan Commission held a public hearing on August 15, 2019, and voted unanimously 9-0 to recommend approval of these text amendments. This ordinance is only eligible for first reading.
Thank you, Trustee Mueller. Any comments from the board? No? Council, is there anything? Nope. Again, this is for first reading. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Thank you. Item 13, Trustee Mueller.
I move we consider ordinance 2019-0-050, approving text amendments to section 5.d.3 of the Tinley Park zoning ordinance to amend paragraph A.3 uses to list a Racino entertainment complex as a permitted use.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
Staff is proposing a text amendment to the Tinley Park zoning ordinance. The purpose is to amend the list of permitted uses in the Rich Township Entertainment and Tourism Overlay District to list a Racino Entertainment Complex as a permitted use. The Plan Commission held a public hearing on August 15th and voted unanimously 9-0 to recommend approval of these text amendments. This one is also only eligible for first reading.
Thank you. Any comments from the board? This will be a voice. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Busy night. Trustee Mueller.
I move we consider adopting ordinance 2019-0-051, granting variations from section 5.b, schedule 2 of the zoning ordinance to permit a second floor addition to be placed on a property with an existing non-conforming side yard setback, non-conforming lot with width and non-conforming lot size at 7409 173rd Street in the R4 zoning district.
Second.
It's been properly moved and seconded.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to table it until October 1st.
So I need a motion. We have a motion motion to postpone.
You're at 14, right?
I'm on 14.
Sorry, I'm one ahead of you. Sorry, go ahead.
Withdraw.
Yeah, withdraw.
So we're going to continue. We have a proper move. It's been properly moved and seconded for item 14. I'll let you describe the ordinance then.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The petitioner, Jose Hernandez, located at 7409 173rd Street, is seeking a 2.69-foot variation from section 5.b, schedule 2, to permit a 4.81-foot west side yard setback on a principal structure where a 7.5-foot setback is required. The variation is being requested to construct a second-floor addition on an existing single-story home with a non-conforming setback. Staff also recommended the petitioner pursue variations for the non-conforming lot width and lot size to bring the property into full compliance with the zoning code. The Zoning Board of Appeals held a public hearing on August 22nd, 2019, and voted 4-0 to recommend approval of the requested variation in accordance with the plans as listed in the list of reviewed plans in the August 22nd, 2019 staff report. This ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you. Any comments from the board regarding this item? Let the record reflect there's none. Please call the roll.
Trustee Burke.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz. Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion will carry. Thank you. Item 15, Trustee Glatz, are you going to call
Yeah,
it?
I'd like to make a motion to postpone this item until October 1st.
Second?
It's been properly moved and seconded to postpone item 15 to August 1st. Is that the next board meeting? It's the second board meeting.
October.
So it's a date
You
set.
mean October?
It's a date certain.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 15 will be postponed until October, the first meeting in October. Probably the easier way to say it. Thank you. Item 16. Back to you, Mike.
They're getting shorter. I move we consider adopting ordinance 2019-0-053, approving an amendment to ordinance 2019-0-018, creating a program for registering defaulted mortgage properties within the village of Tinley Park.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
The village board adopted ordinance 2019-0-018, creating a defaulted mortgage property registration program on August 16, 2019. Due to some confusion as to the inspection requirements, the proposed amendment deletes references to inspections. It was not the intent of the registration program to require inspections by the village. This ordinance is eligible for adoption.
Thank you. Any comments or questions from the board? Just make a note that I appreciate staff for looking into this. I know it's been kind of a contentious conversation amongst our realtor friends and the village, so hats off to you, and thank you for coming to some type of solution. This is eligible for adoption. We'll call the roll, please.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Item 17, Trustee Mueller.
I move we consider adopting Resolution 2019-R-093, approving an Oak Park Avenue facade grant between the Village of Tinley Park and H&J Holdings for property at 17424 Oak Park Avenue, Sip Wine Bar.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
This resolution approves a facade grant for H&J Holdings LLC for property located at 17424 Oak Park Avenue. The grant will replace the existing vinyl siding with a cement board siding on the existing facade to match the addition to the building. The matching grant will not exceed $23,570. The Economic and Commercial Commission recommended approval of the grant at the August 12, 2019 meeting, and the Community Development Committee reviewed the ECC recommendation at the August 27, 2019 meeting and recommended the grant for adoption to the village board. This resolution is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, Trustee Mueller. I don't, is that a typo? Was it August
a typo.
12th or 5th? The 5th? Is it the 12th?
Yes.
Okay. So. Is there any comments from the board regarding this item, item 17?
I have some questions.
I
guess I'd
got a
like to
comment too, when she's done.
Understand the timing of these grants when we're giving them out. When I was on ECC, came about, and I was under the impression it was, the max was 70,000 we're gonna give out to any one business. So this petitioner already has a grant in the process, it's halfway through, I don't know where it is yet, it hasn't been reimbursed yet. But now we're starting a second one, and we're over that, we're almost up to 100,000. I just think we need to take some of this into consideration. Do we want to let people just keep taking out loans, taking out grants? It's, they're forgiven. This is giving money to the businesses. How much are we gonna give? I feel like there's some holes in this whole grant program right now that we should, when does the year start? Is it every, May 1st, we say that they can start? And shouldn't they have to finish one before they get another? I mean, I just feel like, this is a startup business. So we should make sure, how much do we want to give out before we make sure it's going to be a viable business? I just feel like we should have some more rules on that.
Does anybody from the staff care to respond to the question specifically? I mean, I would just mention that in essence, the Oak Park Avenue playbook is exactly that. It's for startups. So I think it's answering its question. I understand I understand the concern about starting one and not finishing it and having another one going. I understand that totally. So I would just let the staff kind of list it. I don't know if it's Kimberly or Dave.
We talked about this at committee a little bit, but, they are following the program guidelines that were adopted. The board, it doesn't mean the board is tied to that if they, or if you want to have them amend the guidelines, but, that basically May 1st of every year they're entitled to regional side.
Yeah, and I provided for reference because I kind of came on board when this program was adopted, and I was assisting with writing the applications. But in May 1 of 2018, the grant was limited to certain zoning districts, and then it was expanded for the whole legacy district. But in that program, it did state $70,000 per year per property. If we need to expand upon that language and put some more requirements in there, we definitely can do that. But as David mentioned, this program is quite, benefit for properties that they could apply multiple years. It didn't have a maximum, and then there was a waiting period. I did inquire about the incentive language, and the way it was told to me was anyone who had a past incentive agreement, like for instance Banging Gavel, they would not be eligible because they have an incentive agreement with the village, so they would not be eligible for grants. It was not my understanding that if they got a grant in the past, they weren't eligible for another grant. But understood your concerns. We are at the next ECC bringing up all of these kind of questions that are coming up with the program, and there's lots of ways we can modify it. I mean, really, this is our real first year where we're got grants and we're going to actually start paying them out. And as we find things that we can always refine. But this property is making some permanent improvements to the building that will last, hopefully, regardless of who's in there, because it's to the exterior. The code compliance is one of our biggest challenges in the older buildings with not being sprinkled. That building's now going to be sprinkled. And then the retail grant would be for his build-out.
And then the other thing too is, when does it start? It's forgiven after 2 years, but when does that timing start?
Timing for,
The 2 years that they have to remain in business, to have that grant forgiven. What
the
is
retail
date?
grant? Oh,
When their business license is issued, isn't it? for
Well,
building?
yeah, I mean,
It's probably issuance of occupancy.
Occupancy,
Yeah.
thank you.
If it's not spelled out, we should spell
but
it.
if it's a grant that's, Ed and Joe's, for instance, or they didn't have to get occupancy, right? I mean,
That's
No.
a sign.
Have it.
yeah.
So, I mean, when does the timing start?
Well, the grants are different. So the retail one, I think, is what you're talking about, has a time frame.
Well, all the grants have a time frame of when they're forgiven. But I would like to know when that starts, because, when you look at this application date, his original one was
What do you mean by forgiven?
started in 18, but, I mean, I'm looking at just this SIP right now, just because that's what you provided me. I mean, I'm not trying to pick on it.
No.
It's just that it was dated May 2018 is when he applied for this grant, the original grant.
Mhm.
But that grant is still in process, he's still working on that.
Right.
But I thought it was 6 months they have to have this completed. I thought that I read that somewhere in your program, but
Not aware of that.
when is the forgiveness? When does that date start? So when does that timing start?
Of when they have to be completed with the project?
No, so they have to remain in business for 3 years or 2 years to get the grant completely wiped away, so they don't have to pay back.
It'd be a clawback.
The clawback.
Oh, the clawback.
When does that start? I hope it's not the application date, because he hasn't even begun anything yet.
If it's not spelled out, I think it'd be reasonable from, the day money starts being paid.
So from the
at
date of
very latest.
payout.
But if it's not spelled out there, and I haven't looked at it in a while, we should spell it out. It's a good point.
I think we should consider some of this. I don't think there should be unlimited taxpayer funds being given out to businesses. I think there has to be a cap, at least until the payoff is done, at least till that timing's done, something. I just feel like, so every January's gonna come and we could have $500,000 into one business.
There's only a clawback on the retail grant, which will require business to pay back a portion of the grant if they close their business within 3 years of receiving the grant money. And that's because that grant is specific to that business. So I'm guessing
So
that's
code
why.
compliance grant, they don't
No,
have?
because, it doesn't, it looks like this is the only grant I'm aware of a clawback.
Well, I hope not. We should have that on every one of them. I mean, that's what we talked about in ECC. Every grant has to have, because they could get the money and then leave, right? And they would just, there'd be no reason for, there had to be, it was in every one of our grants. Maybe not the signed grant because it's so small, but every grant had that. I asked that question at that podium, because this is taxpayer money. We should require them to stay here in
Yeah.
business for a little while. facade grant doesn't have any? Okay, so we're,
There's a clawback on the retail grant, which requires a portion of the grant they close it in 3 years.
So how much
The
can-
retail component of this, and I'm going back a little bit here, but I thought it was for the build-out inside the building, so that
Correct.
could be hypothetically taken. I think what you're just mentioning, it could be taken by the, the occupant. Whereas the facade, you're not gonna be removing the facade. It's, the grant is to beautify the building,
Clawback on that.
make it available for the next tenant, whoever that might
Tenant
be.
improvements,
So that would be
right.
the reason why that has the clawback on it.
Yeah, that's how I
And if you change your business, you can change
interpreted
your
that.
sign.
Yeah, but if we give them a grant for retail grant, they
That's the
could
one,
just
yeah.
leave, we could give them whatever the max is, and then they could just close their business tomorrow.
So Kimberly, my question is that they only have, I guess I'd only ask that the language be cleaned up a little bit as far as the grant. I'm all for, this business in downtown Tinley. I think it'll be a nice addition, and I think, I was just confused reading this. It says a maximum of 70,000 in matching grants per year will be approved per property, but not eligible for the grant, but you've already cleared that. So it's incentive money that disqualifies them from receiving a grant.
Right, the way I understood it was any other, like I said, TIF incentive or development agreement, like Bang and Gavel is a development agreement. That's a separate incentive agreement that they've had in the last 10 years. They wouldn't be eligible for a grant.
Okay. And I wouldn't be in favor of, moving targets. I think if this business is, playing within their means, I think this is something that we should definitely be approving, so.
Is that it?
Yep.
Thanks. Kim, the only thing, like Bill was just touching, we need to put the word TIF in front of incentive. And I think we should cap it at $70,000. And I also agree with Diane in regards to the money. I mean, it was just, they just applied for it in February. Yes, they hit a new fiscal year. It's been 6 months or whatever, and now we're back at it again for more. It should be, I think it should be every 12 years. But it wouldn't matter if we capped it at 70. 12 years?
Would they be re-eligible after a certain amount of time
Sure,
for
you
some
could do it like,
communities?
it should match the TIF incentive. If the TIF incentive is 10 years, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't go along with the same thing. And then, like Bill said, I agree, it's in there, but, maybe that's why they're not doing the TIF and doing the grant, because with the TIF, you don't get your money back right away. You get it only if you produce increment. And so it takes longer to get your money back if you do it through a TIF. So that's why I think we need to cap it, so you can't just keep coming back every year. And, we should put in there like the 10 years, but I do agree with Bill that it is in there. He's within his rights. I think we should give it to him, but I think there's a flaw in that. And the other part, I emailed you on Monday, haven't got an answer back yet, so I'm still waiting on that. As far as the application criteria, if the subject business is a startup, it must have a business plan from a local SBA center or score counselor. I haven't received anything back from you on that, so.
And I think that was for the retail grant. It wasn't a part of the facade grant application checklist that they provide a business plan.
Say that again?
For the facade grant,
No, the subject, if you go under application criteria,
for the facade grant?
yes.
Okay.
Let me know when you're there.
Sorry, yeah, I had it up.
Just go to the email I sent you. I sent you a pic and I put the arrow to it.
Sorry, I don't have my email up, so.
Under application criteria, it's near the end.
Trustee Watts, this is something that could be flushed out at a later date.
Well, no, because that's part of the application criteria. Otherwise, it doesn't qualify to be in front of us.
So it
Business
went
plan
through
and
two
startup.
commission meetings and,
For facade.
According to the application criteria, if the subject business is a startup business, it must have a business plan from a local SBA center or score counselor. That is part of the criteria for this grant. And that's why I asked you that on Monday, so we wouldn't be doing this now.
I'm sorry, I didn't see that email. I guess this, I didn't see that. I mean, it says business, I'm looking at the application, it says business startup plan, if, but this application has already been given grants, so I can see if he provided that for the past 2 grants that he got.
Past 2 grants.
Well, he got a retail grant, and he's got a grant for the co-compliance.
Oh, okay, but that's, the 70 is something different from, okay. Yeah, so if,
So I assumed he submitted those for those grants, if it's applicable to all, but
well, but we don't know.
Yeah.
I
We
don't-
shouldn't assume.
I don't have it.
They gotta have some kind of check on something. We don't know if you got
Yeah,
these things, or.
if we don't know, I would just, it's not that big of a deal. He doesn't get it till he's done anyways. I say we table it until the next meeting, so you could see if the last couple times they did it, if they even, are, if the application is correct. Because without that, according to the grant, we're not supposed to be giving these.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to postpone it to the next meeting.
Is there a second?
I'd second that.
It's been seconded by trustee Galante. I'll call a roll on this, please.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Item 17 has been postponed until our next meeting, which is in 2 weeks. Item 18, trustee Mueller.
I move we consider adopting Resolution 2019-R-094, approving an Oak Park Avenue sign grant between the Village of Tinley Park and the Tinley Park Chamber of Commerce for property at 17316 Oak Park Avenue.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you.
This resolution approves an Oak Park Avenue sign grant for Tinley Park Chamber of Commerce for a property located at 17316 Oak Park Avenue. The total matching grants will not exceed $380 for the installation of a new blade sign above the business storefront. The Economic and Commercial Commission discussed and recommended approval of the grant application at the August 12th, 2019 meeting. The Community Development Committee reviewed the ECC's recommendations at the August 28th, 2019 meeting. This resolution is eligible for adoption.
Any comments from the board? Call the roll, please.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you. Item 19, trustee Mueller.
I move we consider adopting Resolution 2019-R-095, approving an Oak Park Avenue sign grant between the Village of Tinley Park and English Garden LLC for property at 16800 Oak Park Avenue.
Second.
Thank you.
This resolution approves a sign grant for English Garden LLC for property located at 16800 Oak Park Avenue. The grant will replace the existing monument sign that currently encroaches in the village's right-of-way and construct a new monument sign. The matching grant will not exceed $1,447.50. The Economic and Commercial Commission recommended approval of the grant at the August 12, 2019 meeting. The Community Development Committee reviewed the ECC recommendation at the August 27, 2019 meeting and recommended the grant for adoption. This resolution is eligible for adoption.
Thank you, trustee Mueller. Any comments from the board? I would like to, at this point, make a disclosure regarding this item. It's been recently brought to my attention, English Garden has a business in Mokina. I do business with them through my funeral home, so I want for full disclosure, and I will submit a letter to the clerk's office that this would be properly, out of the abundance of caution, that I'm disclosing this as a potential work-related, work relation. Yep. Not that I'm voting anyways, but hopefully, but anyways, I'll email it over to you tomorrow. So, any other comments or questions regarding this item? This is up for adoption. We'll call the roll, please.
Trustee Berg.
Yes.
Trustee Brady.
Yes.
Trustee Brennan.
Yes.
Trustee Galante.
Yes.
Trustee Glatz.
Yes.
Trustee Mueller.
Yes.
That motion will carry. Thank you. Item number 20, trustee Glatz.
I would like to make a motion to postpone this one until September 17th. And before they vote, Dave, if you could just let everyone know why you asked me to do this.
Sure, there's just some changes that were requested this afternoon, which are relatively minor, but we want to make sure that they're reviewed and the board has time to see them.
Which the Park District is fine with, and you talked.
Yes, and they also have to have their insurance carrier review, which they have not got
Thanks, Dave.
I'll second that.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Thank you. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Item 20 will be postponed until our next meeting in September. Thank you. Item number 21, received comments from my staff this evening. Anybody from staff have any comments?
I would just like to share that, as you know, we have the citizen survey that's out right now. We are opening that publicly. That link is available on the website and will be pushed out through our communication channel this week. So that is an open survey that is open until September 18th for anybody who wishes to take that survey. We also have the groundbreaking scheduled for the Boulevard this Thursday, September 5th at 5:30 at the South Street location. And a reminder that Oktoberfest, hosted by the Chamber of Commerce, is this weekend, September 6th through 8th.
Anything else from staff? No. Item 22, received comments from the board.
I have a quick comment.
Sure, clerk.
I've just finished my third week at the Tinley Park Citizens Fire Academy, and I've been enjoying every minute of it. And the curriculum has been exceedingly well conceived and delivered, and I would like to express my gratitude to Chief Reeder and his colleagues at the Tinley Park Fire Department for providing such an incredibly valuable learning experience for the citizens.
Thank you, clerk. Anything else from the board?
I would have to concur with our village clerk. I attended as well, and everything she said was true.
Great to have a fact checker.
Wait till you see him run with his uniform on.
And
Tomorrow night.
Donna took the words right out of my mouth. I would encourage all residents to attend our groundbreaking for South Street, 5:30 on Thursday. It should be early enough. We want to interfere with the Bears' victory over the Packers. And also this weekend, our Tinley Park Chamber of Commerce partnered with the village here for the now annual Oktoberfest. So I understand there's a little bit new layout this year, hoping for large crowds, some great entertainment, as well as vendors. So. Thanks for mentioning that, Donna. Item 23, received comments from the public. Sir, step forward, please.
I'm Carl Lindocken, resident of Tinley Park. I believe that allowing a track for harness racing to be built in Tinley Park would be a mistake. In Chicagoland, Aurora Downs closed in 1976. Washington Park closed in 1977, Sportsman Park closed in 1997, and both Maywood Park and Balmoral Park closed in 2015. In Illinois, horse racing attracted 3.9 million people in 1995, but less than 909,200 in 2018. After a 74-year history of harness racing, there's only one track with harness racing left in the Chicago area, and that's Hawthorne Racecourse. And harness racing is only part of its program. The Illinois Racing Board has limited Hawthorne's racing season. Harness racing only has 71 days in 2019, certainly undercutting the economics of the entire business model. Competition for the gambling dollar is a problem for horse racing in general, and gambling in casinos is now seen as a way to subsidize horse racing. After years of fighting for casino-style gambling on site, Arlington Racetrack has decided to not apply for a casino gaming license. So what do they know? And recently in the newspaper, there was mention that they might even be moving. Horse racing is generally a dying enterprise dependent upon subsidies. And why would we encourage this in Tinley Park? And what if we didn't get the casino to provide the subsidy? So to repeat, money from other forms of gambling is needed to support harness racing, subsidizing it. Tinley Park owes the horsemen of Illinois nothing. The jobs a track would bring are not full-time, year-round jobs. Trainers, grooms, farriers, backstretch workers, tellers, servers, and others. Pay for most of these jobs for part-year work isn't enough to afford living in Tinley Park. And this is true even if they were full-time, year-round jobs. Would a backstretch be built for transient workers to live in? And is this something that we want? in Tinley Park? What kind of economic spillover into Tinley Park can we expect? Balmoral Park dates back to 1926. Driving around the area doesn't support the idea of significant economic spillover despite decades of operation. And I see the same thing being true with Maywood. And as far as a casino, I worked in Joliet for about 4 years, a dozen years ago, and I've been back multiple times since. Harrah's in Joliet downtown. Downtown Joliet has received some infrastructure improvements, but buildings are being torn down in downtown Joliet. Only the government is building new buildings down there. Vacancies are everywhere, despite years of casino operation in downtown Joliet. The horse racing industry is highly dependent on the whims of our state legislature and the Illinois Racing Board. And do we want that exposure? As of earlier this year, only 2 of the state's 10 existing casinos have hit the current limit of 1,200 gambling positions, raising questions about whether the state has reached a saturation point. 3 of the casinos have less than 1,000 gambling positions. Research shows that gambling revenues are closely tied to the broader economy. In recent years, Illinois has seen a healthy increase in revenue from gambling, but that has come amid one of the longest economic expansions in history. During the 2008 financial crisis, casinos saw steep declines in revenue, and this certainly suggests caution regarding relying on gambling revenues to fund borrowing or cover recurring expenses. It's also possible that a new casino would drain revenue from our local bars and restaurants that have begun to count on gambling or video gambling proceeds, which is a risk our existing merchants would have to face. Tinley should move on. There has to be a better idea for us than harness racing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Evening again. I'm going to take a different tact. As far as the racing being down, yes, it is, but that is because it's been prohibitive because of the taxes. With the new bill, I think a lot of that will be reversed. And having a casino with the Racino, or with the racetrack, excuse me, will allow those purses to be higher, which will bring the horsemen back, which creates more competition, which allows for more racing. It's all tied together, of course. I just think it's a little more research needs to be done by a lot of people. If you look to Ohio, they have seven Racinos. 2018, they hit $1 billion in revenue. That's massive, but it's all how it's handled. So I guess my point is we have to do this right. If we're going to do it, we have to do it right to make it successful. It can't just be a Racino. You know, from what I've read, they're talking about putting other sports things or whatever on the grounds. That is great. It then makes it an entertainment district. It brings people in other than for just the Racino, for the horse racing or the gambling. Then I think the ancillary hotels and restaurants benefit as well from those people. If done right, I think it will be highly successful. To compare us to Joliet, you can't compare any other town in the state of Illinois to what Tinley Park is contemplating doing, because this is the first Racino here. You have to look outside our state. You have to look to those towns and cities that have done this and are highly successful, from Ohio to Georgia to New York. They are doing it right, and they are bringing in revenue and equally as important, permanent jobs. and those towns are truly benefiting from that. But again, I think we need to do it right. I think if anybody read the article about Arlington not applying for the casino, I think you can read between the lines as to what they're trying to do, exactly what the city of Chicago is trying to do, saying no. Through our feasibility study, it's showing that we won't open one because the tax rate is so prohibitive. Well, of course, they're trying to force the state of Illinois to lower that tax burden on them. It's what they do. There'll be an argument and a fight, and in the end, Arlington will either sell the racetrack or they'll apply for the casino license so they can make higher purses. I think you just have to, they're playing a game, and it's as simple as that. Recently on social media, people have been just very, very concerned about that. They think there's going to be increased crime and things like that. So my question is for you, Chief, have you reached out to any of the other towns that have casinos as concerning crime or any
have,
problems they've encountered?
I went up to Des Plaines, I met with Chief Bill Kushner, and when he took me around, showed me all the things that the casino had done. They have an average of 1 call per shift per day. They're mainly minor calls, like parking, et cetera. They have had incidents where pets have been left in the car, or in one instance, they had a 90-year-old lady was left in the car by the caretaker, and they really took her for neglect, but those are rare. The main calls are parking and nuisance calls. I also talked to Chief Pecora from Arlington Heights. They rarely have any incidents at the track. Sometimes you have people upset that they lost some money. That's going to happen. That's why the track is there. And people have had too much alcohol. Both said that traffic is not an issue.
No,
In Des
okay.
Plaines, when they built it in such a way that even on the grand opening and when they first opened, there were no traffic issues at all.
Good to know. That's a positive, definitely. That's it. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I just got a question, really. When they clean up the mental institution grounds, do they make sure that if whatever's under the ground, and I'm using this because Mount Greenwood cleaners dumped their fluids over the years, and I lived right at 111th and Drake, I lived at 107th. We had an unusual number of people dying of cancer, young, mid-age, and older. That was in the 60s. Mount Greenwood Cleaners was there. Now Mount Greenwood Cleaners just was found out that there's a lot of young kids dying closer, like around 111th and Drake. And now they found that they've been dumping the cleaning fluids in the ground, which they blame going airborne from the ground, causing this cancer. Now, this has been in the papers. This wasn't just hearsay. It's, do they take a precaution when they clean this property up that this doesn't go airborne? Just asking a question. I don't really know.
For you, Mr. Moriarty. First, I hope that's not true about Mount Greenwood Cleaners.
It is
That's
true
right, we're
about Mount
110th
Greenwood.
and
It
Drake.
is
Spent a
true
lot
about
of
me.
time
Well,
there.
I lived at 10620 Drake, and that was at 111th and Drake.
As far as
So,
remediation, and take the mental health center, any property where it's discovered or thought to be any type of contamination, the general law is that in order to build on that again, if you start taking things down and build up, you would need to clean it up to the satisfaction of the Illinois EPA.
No, I understand that, but I'm just saying, when you stir it up, I don't know, I'm just asking.
I'm not an expert in environmental cleanup,
Right,
but
but they do-
nothing gets done out there.
But
till the
Tinley will
IEPA
look into
signs
that,
off.
right?
They call it an NFR letter, no further remediation. So the IEPA checks what's done, if they're hauling, if certain soil is contaminated, that has to get hauled to certain places, and you can't just move it around. So there's a pretty extensive process when contaminants are detected. Any property.
Especially with the asbestos, they have to handle that.
Yeah, it's a
A
different
lot.
But we don't know what's in the ground there, right?
I'm talking about the buildings with the asbestos that's in there.
Oh, the buildings, yeah, right, well, the buildings all downtown, they had asbestos. But anyhow, I just had more or less that question. And the other thing is about the track. I know a lot of horse players, and none of them go to the track anymore. What they do is they go to the OTB. But that's it. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There's no other comments. We can move on to item 24. This time I'd ask for a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss the following items. A, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. And B, the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body, including meetings held for purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired.
So moved.
It's been properly moved.
Second.
And seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. We'll be in executive session. Nothing shall follow. Thank you.